All right, it's that time of the week where our fantastic podcast drops. Already such a good experience, but wait, there's a way to make it better. The new Raycon earbuds are here to make your listening experience more enjoyable. With crisp sound at a low price, you can enjoy listening to our scary stories. Not only that, there's a variety of colors to choose from, making these headphones more you. Make sure you go to raycon.com and use code SCREAM666, all caps, for 10% off your purchase. Get them and you'll thank us next time you listen to our podcast with this amazing sound.
When we come to see the teddy bear are here to play. If you don't come play with us, then we will kill you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Whispers of the Dead.
Episode 15.
Well, I'm Alejandro Pinero. I'm one of the hosts.
I'm Max Berkowitz, the other host.
And let's
Long
get started
pause
into
right
the podcast.
I'm personally very exhausted, not only for this Miami traffic and this boat that fell off on the causeway.
Oh yeah,
but
I heard about that. That was crazy. There was a lot of traffic that day
a
too.
crazy amount. And then if you add on the Bad Bunny concert,
Oh, all right.
yeah.
Bad Bunny, imagine. Well, apart from that, I just give you guys some context. I just drove here. Me and Max, we've been working on it. We've been talking with our team. They've been sending us stories. We've got stories to tell you guys about. I'll get into that later, but we got some from our fans too. But yeah, I drove here. Just got back from NFT week in Wynwood.
Yeah, how was that?
It was great. The NFTs, that's a whole nother podcast we can do about, if you guys want that, we can do that next week.
Yeah.
But
You gotta teach me on that, man.
look, all there is to know is it's just it's a drawing. It's like a little doodle. It's a painting, and you stick some money to it, and there you go. You got an NFT.
Damn. There you go.
But yeah, focusing on the podcast, right? So to start off, what we're gonna do today is we're actually gonna talk about some very spooky, scary stories.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, these stories we have been sent them from our followers
Yeah.
and our viewers. And if you ever want to, we encourage the fact
Of
that you
course.
send us stories of your own. So
course, yeah.
they could be featured on this podcast.
Anybody who wants to send us it doesn't even have to be a spooky or scary story. That's just specific to today's episode. Anybody who wants to send us anything, maybe even feedback. If you guys want to talk to us, anything can happen. You guys just have to message us. We can even get you here on the podcast. We might have an interview later. I don't know. Maybe stick around for that. But yeah, Max, do you like spooky, scary stories? Because I think our audience might.
Personally, these ones that we might have in store, they're way too scary for me.
Very scary.
Yeah, they have me jumping out of my seat personally. Woo! But, people are different, so you find it scary.
Yeah, some people like it, some people don't. I do like it. I like the thrill. I like the adrenaline. But I'm sure if you're listening today, get comfortable, get prepared, and I'm sure you'll like it too. It's gonna be a great podcast today. So stick to the end. So how it's gonna work is we got a few different types of stories. I'm not gonna tell you that right now. You'll hear them when we speak about them. But I'll give you a hint. Some of them, well, not really a hint, but I'll just give you a little bit of detail on how we're gonna do it. Some of them is sent by our fans, like we just said. Also, some of them are stories that we have on our own. We have our own stories to tell, and you guys, I feel like you guys are gonna be entertained today. We got some great stories to tell in our podcast. They're for sure gonna be very spooky, scary, send a shiver down your spine, right, Max?
A shiver.
Yes,
Wow.
of course. But that's it. I'm gonna wrap up the intro right now, and you guys are ready to hear some spooky, scary stories.
We also have a very special surprise for you guys today before we start this episode.
Oh yeah, wait till you guys hear this. Canon just came out with a new camera that has an amazing lens. It allows you to take pictures from up to 200 feet.
200 feet.
Oh yeah.
That is a far camera taking.
Not only
camera.
that, it comes with not one,
Oh.
not two,
Oh.
but 3 key cards,
3.
giving you 3 times the space of a normal camera.
Wow.
So don't miss out on this opportunity. Get your new Canon 34K before they sell out. We also have a discount code that gives you 20% off your first purchase. You can purchase it on their website at https://shop.usa.canon.com, and if you want to use the code, it is SCREAM666, all caps, just like our last one.
All caps. So thank you to Canon for sponsoring today's episode, and get yourself a camera. Personally, I would buy it if that was me.
Very much would recommend.
Yeah. So on to the episode we go. Alright, for the first story we have here, we were sent to by one of the viewers. His name is Victor, and this is about a story of his grandpa and a weird encounter.
His interaction with his grandpa at a family gathering, from what we've read. But yeah, he sent it to our Gmail. You guys can send us your story and anything else you want to tell us. If you have your own stories or feedback, like we said earlier, you can send it to our Gmail in the link in the description. So
Would you like to start off the stories?
yeah, I'll start off the story.
Go for it.
All right, so this is story 1. We'll start it off. Years ago, during a family gathering during Christmas break, my late great-grandpa sat me down to share stories. This was something he loved to do. We had already been talking all throughout the night, yet we weren't any bit tired. After most of the lights had been turned off and the rest of the family had gone to sleep, our conversation continued. Growing deeper and more in depth, our stories began to take off. I would learn to find my great-grandpa was not as compliant as he may have seemed. One night, according to one of his stories, my grandpa felt an urge to disobey. Going further into detail, he explained his urge was attributed to his growing boredom because of consistently doing what he deemed right rather than fun. This came from choosing to stay in on fun nights rather than going out, or working instead of playing as a kid, and loads of other entertaining things he decided to put aside. All this led to a boredom accumulating into an urge, and even worse, a desire to get out of his comfort zone and break the rules. His friends also seemed to have this intuition. My grandpa couldn't identify whether it was due to growing of age and teenage spontaneous, or instead just accumulation of boredom over time.
So basically, this grandpa was... Well, how would you describe him?
So from here, he's recalling like one of his past memories or his stories that he's sharing with one of our viewers that sent it to us. He's recalling one of the stories he had, and right now looking back at it, he's saying that he got out of his comfort zone and broke the rules, and he's trying to figure out why he did this. And from what I'm reading right now, he's saying that it might have been just being like so bored over the years, because as a kid, he said that he used to not really go out and not really do any fun things. He actually worked. So it might have just been being so bored that, he kind of just broke. Or it could have just been, him finally being a teenager and growing up and, getting that spontaneousness that most other teenagers tend to have.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've been there.
I mean, I guess, all of us can kind of relate to this in a way, but now I'll continue with the story. Regardless, the story begins with him sneaking out later that night while his parents were fast asleep. Grandpa decided to take the old family truck. It was black and rusted all over with cushioned seats of not the best material. Outdated and overused, the truck's main feature included my grandpa's beloved radio, which would play music as loud as you wanted, at the expense of quality sound as a result. He described the aerodynamics of the clunky truck giving way to a unforgettable, extremely loud roaring wind. The amplified sound of the wind he would hear as he drove made his young teenage self feel like he was in a sports car speeding down a track. Hoping for a silent startup, my grandpa inserted the key and drove out of the driveway, free from home and onto the road. At this time, he began calling his friends. Call after call, his friends would not pick up. The dangerous blizzard heading to town is what he attributed his friends' motivation to all bail on him that night. Feeling gutted yet anxious, Grandpa detailed how he continued driving with no intention of going home. So again, the grandpa sneaks out, he takes the truck, my bad, and now he's out, so apparently his friends don't pick up, and he's still driving. He has no intention of going home, like I just read.
Mm-hmm.
Back again, looking at like the spontaneousness or the growing boredom, you can see like even when his plan fails and his friends bail on him, he still doesn't want to go home. But yeah, now going back to the story, that was just a brief explanation.
That's a nice explanation.
Yeah, thank you. All four of the truck's windows he cranked open, and as the night grew darker and the blizzard neared, so did the sound of the whooshing wind surrounding him pick up as he drove. Swaying of countless northern evergreen pine trees moving back and forth, as well as the bright glare of the more than full moon, were some of the things keeping his mind distracted as he drove further and further into the woods and away from town.
Alright, so this sounds like this is more like up north, because he describes the evergreen pine trees. He explains... Did he explain the snow? Yeah, he explained the blizzard. So, assuming...
Yeah, I mean... The viewer didn't like specify, where exactly the location is. You just sent us the story. We weren't given much detail on the story, but so far it's pretty entertaining. I mean, at the moment, I agree with you. It's most definitely up north. I would probably say probably around Wisconsin area. The way they're describing things. I mean, I have family up there. I know how the people are. It's very similar, like culturally, not culturally. That's a bad way to put it, but it's a very, very similar description of what I see over there.
You know what I see over there?
What?
A bad football team.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know you're a Packers fan.
I am a Packers fan. All right, focusing
on...
on...
How they do this year, huh?
Okay, let me...
Where's
we don't
Rodgers?
talk about that.
Where's Rodgers?
Okay, back to the story.
That's what I thought.
He began to realize how far he was from town. But he thought to himself, if he really wanted to get out of his comfort zone, he had to keep on going. He hears a loud peep coming from his steering wheel. He glances down and realizes his truck was running out of fuel. He had to act fast. He either needed to turn back or try to make it to his house, or keep driving on deeper and deeper into the woods until he found a safe place to stay and wait for the blizzard to pass. He continues to drive into the woods in hope of finding a safe place. He turned the music up a little to distract himself, but not only did the radio stop working, the car eventually shut down.
Ooh.
Grandpa stated that for the first time in his life, he was scared for his life. And the car shuts down. After the car shuts down, all he could hear was the northern evergreen pine trees moving back and forth and slashing against each other.
You're okay.
So, back to the evergreen pines. Here we can see he's clearly in the woods. That's pretty drastic scenario. His radio stopped working. His car shut down.
I don't know why he drove more into the woods. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
See if that.
I guess the guy really emphasized the point that he must have been really, really bored.
Look, no offense to this man's grandpa, but
yeah, his grandpa's. He's a little crazy. They said great grandpa, so maybe his mind's a little off, but reading it now, his decision making is clearly
in
wrong.
shambles.
I mean,
It's in shambles.
that's a great word, shambles. All right.
Just like the Packers.
Okay. He had no choice but to abandon his car and seek shelter. He grabs a flashlight and a couple of matches his dad would leave in the car to smoke cigarettes. Wait, before I continue reading, cigarettes. See, that is a lot. That is seen a lot in Wisconsin. He didn't eat a lot. Most of the people there smoke. I mean, this guy's... We don't know the age, but they specified he's a teenager, so at the time, I mean... I don't know how many years ago that must have been, but even in Wisconsin, a lot of teenagers smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, also, warning
Very
before we
wrong.
keep going on, don't smoke. It's not worth your lungs.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do
And-
that. It's really, really bad for you. But if you don't want to end up like this grandpa over here, he's clearly crazy. All right. He stepped foot outside his car and he felt how strong the wind was. Grandpa continued to walk deeper into the woods. Using his flashlight, he would shine into every moving thing he saw, but it was all bushes moving back and forth because of the wind. After walking for what felt like an eternity, he spotted a light in the distance.
All right, what the hell was that?
All right, here we go.
He kept walking into the woods.
Just wait.
He was
walked.
off
He
more.
started walking into the woods. He saw. He's looking for. He's shining his flashlight into every moving thing he saw. I mean, that's like the most sane thing the only sane thing I've seen about this text. I mean, I would do that too. If you see something moving in the woods, I'm shining my flashlight at it because I
Hell
need
no.
to know. Of course,
You're crazy.
I need to know what that is.
No.
Okay, yes, because look, here it says it's moving. It was all just bushes moving back and forth because of the wind.
I
So.
would run the opposite direction. You see, this is why.
But
in
look,
horror
it turned out to be bushes because he flashed the light. That's why you should.
in
do
horror
that.
movies, the people that go to the light end up dying. You know why?
Well, I
Because
mean,
they're curious. Curiosity like that kills you, physically and literally.
fair enough. You know, what's the saying? Curiosity killed the cat. All right.
That was
Let me get back
Very
there.
bad.
He spotted. Okay, after walking what felt like an eternity, he spotted a light in the distance. He sprinted towards it, and the closer he got, the safer he thought he was. The light ended up being a house that looked like it was abandoned. Roof tiles all broken. The door was full of red and brown paint, but Grandpa did not care. He grabbed the doorknob, and as he turned it made the squeakiest sound he had ever heard. He then makes his way into the house, flashing his flashlight everywhere. He then finds a picture in the room of a family. He thought the house he was in was probably of the family in the picture. He finds a couple of candles and he begins to light them up with his matches he had from the car. The more he began to light up the house with his candles, the more he started to realize about the house. He realized there was bloodstains everywhere in the couches, and all the pictures on the wall had black stains on them. He begins to get creeped out. Grandpa thought he was in a murder scene. He had lit up 5 candles and placed them all in the living room because he had only explored up to the living room. The few doors and lack of windows added to his grandpa's perception of the house being small. He turns his back to the pictures to put his flashlight down, and then one of the candles mysteriously turned off. He did not think much of it, so he just lit it back up. Disturbed but not deterred, he looked for anything that could help keep him alive. My grandpa recalled walking into the moldy kitchen and grabbing the biggest, sharpest knife he could find. He had an ominous feeling that he wasn't alone, and that whatever made the house bloody and smelling like rotten flesh was still lurking.
spooky.
As he scavenged his way through the house, flashlight in hand, rummaging through all the messy assortments of miscellaneous things, my grandpa ran into 2 useful items. The first was a silver barrel 12-gauge shotgun with a wooden 12 gauge shotgun with a wooden handle that smelled like oak and gunpowder. My grandpa told me how he had always loved shotguns since he was a kid and would overhear his father boasting about using them in the Great War, and so he decided to keep it in case of something bad. The second thing he found was a rusty iron radio the size of a refrigerator, positioned right outside of the back door that my grandpa decided he would test to see if he could get help. He managed to get the radio to work and used it to call the emergency services to try and get rescued and towed. After a lengthy talk with them that was deafened by the shrieking of the wind, they told my grandpa that they could send someone to rescue him on a snowmobile, but he would have to wait to get his car towed and to stay by the radio so that they could find him. Waiting outside, Grandpa left the shotgun with the radio, then sat on the steps facing the wilderness. He was protected by the semi-enclosed wooden back gate of the house. For what he thought was an hour, he waited, staring into the white blanket where the woods were supposed to be. Occasionally, the blizzard would die down, and Grandpa would be able to see three luscious evergreen trees swaying with the snow. After a few times, my grandpa noticed a moose at the tallest and farthest tree away from him. It was a massive beast with a dark brown coat with some white patterns throughout, and to Grandpa it looked like it was feeding on something. Ooh.
Spooky.
Snow started falling harder and harder again, and everything became white and empty. When it cleared up, the moose was now at the second tree, and something was dripping from its head. You know, you're just as crazy as the grandpa, because you are laughing at some pretty scary stuff, man. This is.
No. I'm only laughing at the wording of this. It's funny.
The wording. I mean, yeah, they put it really strong, and
the moose.
It's a really bold way to describe a moose, but I guess they're saying it's like a moose-like figure.
Look, I'm absolutely like shit scaredless right now of this guy. He's into shotguns. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like
laughing. You're laughing.
I'm laughing at the fact that
this is scary.
The moose showed up at the second tree, like not the first one, but the second one.
I mean, dude, the grandpa's a great storyteller. He makes it very intense and suspenseful. I mean, look at that. He's already at the second tree, man.
No offense to the grandpa, but this guy's psychotic, bro. He no wonder. I was thinking in my head, I was like, no wonder this guy keeps on going and going into the woods. He does not care if he dies.
Honestly, that's a good point. I mean,
it's not even having balls. It's just straight
Yeah, he's just.
I would not want to meet this guy.
He's just crazy. All right.
Nuts, bro.
When it cleared up, the moose was now at the second tree, and something was dripping from its head. Driven by curiosity, Grandpa grabbed the shotgun and left past the gate while the snow picked up again. So here we see. The grandpa is still driven by curiosity after everything that's happened.
I can't. This is crazy ass grandpa.
All right. Moving just as the snow, the moose was now at the closest tree, and my grandpa was able to get a good look at it. He told me the instant he saw it, he froze, petrified by fear. As he quoted here, blood dripping from its teeth and protruding razor-sharp fangs, he described to me. And looking into its eyes was like looking into the eyes of the devil. What a really, really scary moose we've got here.
I mean, now this guy's scared.
I mean, I'm just picturing this, I really hope there's no more curiosity left in him. Just leave.
After everything
he's
seen. I don't know.
What's going on with the rescue team? I mean, he radios them. I think they said he waited for an hour. Is storm still there? And now he sees a moose. Where is the rescue team? They just gave up on him.
I mean, they should have left him, bro. To be honest, I would not leave this guy in society. No offense to this guy's grandpa.
Oh my gosh!
Holy shit!
Oh my gosh! Come on!
No.
All right. He's got so much left for him. Come on. Why are you driven by curiosity, man? All right. The moose-like creature started to charge at him, and my grandpa was too shaken with fear to move. So now he's shaking with fear. Now he's shaking with fear. Now that his life's in danger. Now when it's really in danger, he's getting charged at by the crazy moose. He can't move. He can't move because he's too scared now. He's finally scared.
The irony. It's crazy.
He could feel the wind of the moose's attack when out of nowhere it was launched into the sky by a T-bone collision by a modified snowmobile that looked like it came from the Batcave. It was the emergency services, and they had come to my grandpa's rescue. Grandpa got on the snowmobile and headed out the forest, but he felt like he was still being followed.
No way. Don't tell me this moose caught up to
Okay,
a
good
snowmobile.
job to the emergency services. Whether the grandpa deserved to be saved or not, I mean, finally, they just kicked the moose's ass. Hopefully,
We
this
don't
guy,
know yet.
this
We
guy,
don't know
this
yet.
guy's being followed. So, I mean, he feels like he's being followed, but he also feels a lot of other things. He's very crazy. But here we go. But he felt like he was being followed. Almost out of the forest, he heard a demonic shout and saw the beast catching up behind him. Realizing what he had to do, he aimed a shotgun and shot the moose directly in the face.
Wow.
After that, he told me he never returned to the forest ever again, not even to get the truck. I would hope that after all of that, you don't return to a forest.
I mean, who knows? He didn't specify that he went to any therapist after this, but we assume
No,
he did.
Bro,
Hopefully
he
he did.
needs a therapist.
Nah,
He needs
does.
it.
He does.
Whether this happened 60 years ago, 5 years ago, or 10 minutes ago, this guy needs a therapist.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow. What a crazy story.
Yeah,
I feel like you know, looking at the story, there's some truth to it, and that truth is that the grandpa told the viewer the story. That's it. Nothing of what the grandpa said sounds real to me.
I mean, this can
Maybe
be.
he exaggerated. I mean, that's maybe you guys, our viewers, do your best to exaggerate our stories. I mean, your stories, to get on our podcast.
Yeah, but it's
I
just
would hope
better.
not,
It's better if it's real.
but-
so.
I'm having a lot of fun reading these.
Yeah,
All right, what did you think about that, Max?
It was pretty scary. The grandpa scared the shit out of me.
They should,
personally, but
yeah. I feel like the grandpa was scarier.
I would not want to meet this
Then-
man in person. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Anything else described in the story?
Victor, if you're anything like this, I hope to never see you. But if
100%.
you are still watching our podcast, thank you after this.
Oh yeah, I mean
Well,
that was fun to read. That was really fun to
insanely
read.
fun. I hope you're exaggerating the shit.
I
out
hope
of
your
this.
grandpa is okay, and I hope
I hope
whoever
this is-
your
I hope this is
grandpa,
not real.
whoever this guy's grandpa's wife is, I hope she's okay. I really do. Or I hope
She's either the most loyal woman on this planet,
no,
or
maybe
she's just as psychotic.
maybe she made him psychotic. I don't know. Whatever. All right, let's get into the next story.
Alright, for our next story, this comes from one of our viewers by the name of Barry.
I will always trust a guy named Barry, dude. I mean, in my experience, they always have your back.
Yeah, my
Guys named Barry?
experience.
Guys named Barry, they're the best.
My experience, I can't say the same. I have not had that luck, my friend. Sorry. But for this episode, I read the story yesterday in advance, and it was getting me on the edge of my seat to the point where I didn't want to read anymore. It was so scary.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I got you.
Alright then, I'll start with this. While this may have happened a little over 5 years ago as I'm writing this, it still pops into my head whenever I look at my brother. For a start, my younger brother and I were staying at my aunt and uncle's place in Kansas as we were visiting them. We drove down there together as we both live in the northeast of the country. He lived in New York City and I am in Boston.
New York and Boston.
Yeah, I don't know how these guys are brothers, but
I mean, those two must have never been nice to deal with.
definitely not. Anyways, I was 24 at the time, about to turn 25, and my brother is 2 years younger. For the rest of my writing, I will refer to him as Adam. So, welcome, Adam. One day, as we were bored, and it did not really have anything to do, I asked Adam, "Hey, do you want to go to the town near and see what it's got to offer? It's better than staying here all day." He replied to me, "Sure, let's get some fresh air. It'd be nice than being stuck here for a week." As you can tell, We were not enthusiastic about meeting our relatives as we were mostly forced by our parents, and there was just not much to do.
Yeah, I mean, I get what that means. It can be really boring to go visit some of your relatives, but you gotta do it. You gotta see your family.
You're not wrong. As he continues, as we got into our uncle's old and beaten up car, I remember something my Uncle Jack had told me upon our arrival. Hey, I know you were into Hey, I know you two like scary stuff. If you ever decide to go out of here and on your way back home, there's an abandoned mine in the town next over to us as they attract the tourists. Following his recommendation in his car, I told Adam about it, and he jokingly remarked, that sounds like an awful way to attract people to their town, but let's do it anyway.
Adam is speaking the truth. I mean, what town would use an abandoned mine as a tourist attraction?
Preach.
I mean, you're just looking for trouble there.
Apparently,
Right?
this town likes to... As he writes, when we arrived at the town, the mine was not hard to find, as there were a few signs dotted around pointing in his direction. There was a man outside of the mine waiting in a stand. We got out of the car and I asked him, "Hi there. I was wondering if my brother could go into the mine to explore for a while." He responded, "Sure, it's $25 a person, not including the gear that is sold
Jeez.
separately. Sorry." He motioned his hands towards a desk with the mining helmets and walkie-talkies that were also there for sale.
Yeah, I mean, so far the scariest part's gotta be the prices, man. $25 per person.
Yeah, I
Not
probably would have.
including the gear. That's dude, that's unbelievable.
I would have been gone in an instant hearing those prices. Anyways, Adam whispered to me, "Hey man, these guys are really ripping us off." And I told him, "Sure, but Jack recommended this place and we're already here, so let's do it. Screw it." He sighed and reluctantly agreed to still go. While we were still putting all the gear on, the man had told us, "You're allowed to stay as long as you want. Just make sure you don't go too far out, as the mine can get a bit tricky to traverse."
Traverse.
No, like, I'm just saying, this guy's ancient. Traverse. Wow. Especially if you've never done so before. Taking this in mind, we ventured the mine. It's a good pun.
Well, I wonder what we're gonna see here.
Let me warn you and to our viewers, this is most definitely not a safe place. Do not do this. We condone this as the podcast group. Anyways,
Did you say we condone this?
I don't support it.
We do. Alright, keep reading. I'm joking.
Funny. Anyways, he keeps writing. Did not take long for me and my brother to start feeling a bit chilly. As Adam muttered to me, I should have put on a sweater, or at least sweatpants, as it is cold as shit here. He was right. Outside there was blazing heat, as was usual since the summer, but only a few minutes into the mine, with light still peeking inside, mind you, it grew to be much colder than I could imagine. After a decent bit more of walking, Adam and I decided we should part ways to see if we could discover anything cool. He told me, "By the way, if I find anything, I'm keeping it for myself and not sharing." Okay, I responded, "I guess I'll do the same then. It's on."
Oh, nice bit of rivalry we have developing here.
I guess it's common amongst siblings. I couldn't say so myself. So, moving on. We had our walkie-talkies so we could still communicate in case we needed to. Along the way, we kept cracking jokes to each other, so the uneasiness of the mine didn't infiltrate our brains. Wow. Another aspect of the mine I noticed was that the more I progressed through it, it became damper and wetter. I asked my brother if he noticed the same thing, and he told me, "Ha, that's odd. As I go through, it seems to be drier. The rocks are literally crumbling apart." While I found that odd, as I knew that we were not far from each other yet, I moved on anyway.
Even though I've never been in a mine before, they can have radically different environments, right?
Right, sure, pal. Whatever gets you through the story. After what felt like an hour, I mentioned to Adam, "Well, I haven't been able to find anything. I think we should start heading back." After a few seconds, he responded, "Wait! Just a few more minutes and we'll find something, I swear." It was a normal It was normal of my brother to be so insistent about things like this, but I did not give my will to move on forward. So I told him, okay, you can stay here by yourself. I'm going home now. This is getting boring. After a minute or so, he announced, hey, I found something. It looks like a green or blue gem.
Cool.
Come to where I am, and we can look at it together. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's really odd. All right.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
let's see.
Let's find out. Alright. I decided to go because I thought it would mean that we would be able to go back to the entrance together quickly. Looking back, I should have realized that my brother would have not wanted me to show something that he originally said that he would be keeping for himself. After some complicated directions due to the fact we are so far away from each other at this point, I finally saw a light and thought it was him. Adam appeared to notice me as the light was now in my direction. So I screamed, "So, where's the gem at you wanted to show me?" Initially, he did not respond, but later replied with, "It's right here, just come a bit closer." As I started moving towards the light, it turned off, and before I knew it, I heard what sounded like someone's wet feet sloshing on the ground.
Oof. Very descriptive. All right.
Disgusting description there. Well, sadly, our friend here did not have that same mindset. He adds, finally, I had seen what was really talking to me the past few times. That was not my brother. The creature that my light was shining on tried to look human and took some of Adam's characteristics, but it seems to have been in the middle of its transformation.
Jeez.
What the hell? As I stood paralyzed, I noticed that his skin started to melt off, dripping and landing on the ground. Its face, if you could call it a face, was distorted. The eyes were stretched out, its mouth had no teeth, and consumed the lower part of its head.
Oh.
The limbs were abnormally long, with its arms stretching out and almost reaching the ground. And all around it was the color of dried blood, possibly from the victims before.
Jeez, dude, I thought it couldn't get worse. That's horrible.
Yeah, it creates quite the image. After taking it in, I realized that it was approaching me, running with no hesitation. You want to add anything?
I mean, I can't believe it runs too, like.
I don't even know.
That's just alright. Keep reading, man.
Shut up. Before I could react, my body was already running away, without me even thinking about it. The creature's facade was over, and it started talking to me in its own voice. Why would you stay to care for yourself? Its voice was a mirror of my brother's, a clear attempt to imitate it. But much like its body, it was not good enough to convince anyone. It kept trying to speak to me, but my mind refused to listen and blocked out all the noise. I was focused on one thing, and it was getting the hell out of here.
Finally, some sense into him. Jeez, the guy actually wants to get out of there.
Yeah, I think I would beat the crap out of it, no problem.
Sure you would. Alright, and I'd be right there next to you, cheering on your demise.
Ouch. We're getting near the end here. After what felt like hours, I finally saw the light of the entrance, pleading me to run into it. As I escaped with the clutches of the creature and its mine, I will never forget what it last told me. We will wait. What did it mean by we? To this day, I have no idea.
You mean to tell me that it was more than just one organism? Or that there are even more than lurking around?
The statement is left quite ambiguous. Maybe our listeners could give us takes on what they think it means. Anyhow, as right as I left, the mine crumbled immediately. I noticed that the man at the stand and all of his items were gone, nowhere to be seen. A bit walking later, and I noticed my brother, my real brother, waiting in the car. Adam asked me, "Hey, where were you?" I've been waiting here for about an hour. I told him what happened, and he just thought, oh, it was an excuse for me arriving so late. I questioned him about the walkie-talkie, and he said, oh, I must have dropped it somewhere, to be honest. At one point, I reached into my pocket, but it was gone. Then I tried calling over the phone, but the signal was no good, I guess. Afterwards, I interrogated him about the man, to which he replied, which man? It was a woman who was attending us.
No way. Was the creature that guy?
Very thinks to seem so, apparently.
Oh my god.
So, to my surprise, the man who had left did not have the same appearance as it did to my brother. Adam once again chalked it up to me feeling bad due to being in the mine for so long, but I knew what had really happened. The creature who had attacked me in the mine was that man. There was and still is no doubt in my mind about that.
Knew it.
Yeah. Either way, my brother and I went back, stayed there for a few more days as I processed what happened, and left to go back to our town and our own homes and our own lives. I've only shared this story with a few other family members. Some believe me, and some think I'm just crazy. I always loved listening to the podcast, and I discovered this one rather recently. When I heard that the viewers could send stories, I made sure to recollect every detail of what happened that day. Thank you guys for being so awesome.
Hey, I mean, thank you, Barry. I mean, thank all of you. You know, you guys are great viewers. We appreciate the stories. That was a good story. What did you think about that story?
Yeah, I love the interaction with our community, and this story, this one has me scared.
This one was more, I mean, I liked how the plot was really good. We had a sort of a plot twist going on there too with the guy ended up turning to be the creature.
Like, it's a real life skinwalker. I've been telling you about this. And
all right, let's get into the next story then. All right, we got a little bit of a surprise coming up.
surprise.
I know you like surprises, Max. Just like that knock. Oh, here we go. I'm getting a call.
I was about to get on Green Bay Packers' ass.
Hello, new victim.
Hey,
What's up?
how's it going?
What's your name? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jack. I'm from Florida, and I currently live in New York, and I have 2 kids.
Wow, that's great. Now, what spooky story are you gonna tell us about?
Well, basically, it all started when I was like 9. I always been interested in ghost stories and dreamed about them quite often.
Wow.
But I never thought too much of it. I will never forget the day that all those dreams began to become real life nightmares.
Wow.
It was the 23rd of February, and I had just turned 9 in November. The cold day in February, nothing felt right. I got off from school and rode my bike directly home, alone. After I finished my homework and watched some television, I left for soccer practice in the park nearby, alone with my bike once again.
Ooh.
But this time, it was not like every Thursday afternoon. I tied my cleats and jumped on my bike, only to find myself on an empty road with the cool breeze whispering behind my ear. It was not a breeze. It was a voice quivering and saying that I shouldn't go back home.
Please tell me you didn't go back home.
Please tell me that you did. That is not the scary part. Imagine people would always listen to the multiple voices inside their head all the time. The world can't work out that way.
Has that ever happened to you? I think the fuck not. Have you ever seen all the horror movies that the character gets killed this way? I'm telling you, bro.
Whatever. All right. Please continue, Jack.
Basically, I was so naive at first that I thought the voice was all made up by myself because I have probable schizophrenia. But as I approached home, the voice got louder and louder, to the point where it was almost screaming in my ear. And by then, I knew I couldn't have made this up. I got off my bike, threw it in the ground, and sat in the grass of a house a couple down from my own. I started shaking as if I was having a concussion, and suddenly I was back home, waking up thirsty and sweaty from a nap with my heart as cold as ever.
No, don't tell me this was a dream.
It was. Like, at least it was what I thought at that moment. I went to get some water and calm myself down about watching my favorite show, Rick and Morty. After this episode, I have never had an unusual dream. All I could see differently from my normal day-to-day life was how mature I slowly became. But again, I was only 9 and had no idea what was going on.
Huh.
Funny.
It was not until 1 year later when I realized that this was going to haunt me forever. Throughout the year, I watched lots of scary movies and later introduced some of my friends to them, and we could watch them together. We all became horror movie fans. One day in October, we got together after school on a Friday, and we decided to play a board game. A ghost board game.
Oh, I've heard one of these before. This can never end.
Please
Wow.
don't tell me it was the Ouija board.
Well, we all went to my room, shut the lights off, closed the curtains, and sat in a circle. My friend Simon brought his older brother's so-called board game, which was titled in large letters, Ouija.
I know. I knew it. I knew it.
I just said it, didn't we all?
We were all amazed and couldn't wait to play the scary game. The board was in the middle, and we lit some of my mom's candles around it while she was out doing some chores. The instructions said to choose a medium, or what we believed was the leader of the group. So, of course, I was the medium in charge of asking the board all the questions we had. We all placed our hands on the board and began our fun experience.
Wow.
Only at 9 years old. That's crazy.
It is crazy. We all asked all our stupid questions. Anything that a little kid would say. One of them asked when his crush will like him back. To which
Never.
the board responded, 1 month. And
Oh.
we all looked at each other and started laughing hysterically while he blushed red. I asked when I would die, which once again, an obvious mistake. The board pointed towards never, which is still a mystery that I don't want to solve even today. After all the nonsense, I suggested we went to place something outside, and everyone agreed. We left the board wide open, opened the windows, blew out the candles, and stormed outside.
No, don't tell me you left the board like open.
It was, and that's not even the worst part. After some months, we being 10 already, and the 23rd of February coming up again, I started having weird dreams again. Especially repeated scenes of the prior dream of me coming back from soccer. But everything was all right. I didn't care about these dreams anymore. They became normal to me throughout the first week of February, and then came the famous 23rd of February once again. Only 1 year later, and with lots of other things in mind, I once again left to play soccer on my bicycle, picked up my cleats after practice, tied them up, and got on the bike to head home, fearing the same empty streets with the cold feeling throughout my body and my back as tense of a rock. I kept chatting to myself, it's only a dream, only to realize it was reality. I was never able to think of a dream during a dream. I was never able to be manipulated to plot, but now I did.
Yo, maybe you manifested it, you know? So much thinking about it, it came real.
Okay, all right. Don't be ridiculous, Max.
I'm not. I'm being serious. Alright, keep on going, please.
As I approach home, hurtful voices perforated my eardrum, shouting, "Don't go home! Don't go home!" This time, since I wasn't dreaming, I responded to whoever was bothering me with these torturing thoughts. I shouted, and while looking at the sky, said, "What do you want? Why have you been following me?" And suddenly the sound stopped. I felt at ease, and a little cute voice whispered in my ear, "Why did you leave the board open then? You let us in, little one. Now we are here to help you." I started crying. I couldn't help it. I was such a little boy dealing with so much nonsense and having no one to talk about it. Why me? I thought. I decided it was time to trick the ghost or spirits or whoever was annoying me, and once I got home, I passed by it as if I'd forgotten where I lived. This triggered the ghost even more. They started using different tones, demanding ones, calling me out and saying, "Good boy, Jack. You are slowly getting where you're supposed to be with us. Far, far away from home."
All right.
There's no way you didn't tell anybody about this. I can't believe it.
Not yet. I haven't. I was going to tell my family they were going to let me watch movies. Plus, even if later I decided to, I couldn't. And my friends, well, they really weren't into believing that stuff. It could only happen in the movies from their point of view. After hearing the voices, I stopped believing I was better than the ghost and turned sobbing and heading back home. This time as fast as I could. And again, slower, but somehow louder. The voice is quivering. Don't go home. You won't like it. Don't go home. And suddenly I heard a scream, woman's voice. I couldn't tell if she was scared or celebrating something. But the scream followed a plea. Please don't. And the little girl cried. A cry that I will never forget. A cry that I heard for the past 5 years. The 5 years my little sister had before she took her last breath.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
That's horrible. How is that even possible?
Well, after listening to that, I saw the lights in my house turn dark right after the trembling of them as the door opened and closed. But who did that? Who got in and out? I couldn't see anyone. I rushed in to find the worst surprise I have ever gotten. As soon as I walked into the living room, I got this terrible sensation. The temperature in my home had dropped 20 degrees. The first thing I did was make a feeling from the light switch. I kept flicking the light switch, but nothing. My house remained pitch black. I started to get nervous. I called for my parents about 100 times while I tried navigating around my house. I heard my mother's voice answer me, Jack. I followed the sound of her voice to the upstairs bedroom.
Oh my gosh! Please tell me she was okay.
Yeah, hopefully.
I wish she was. When I opened the door, the lights finally flickered back on, and there my mother was. She was laying down on the bed. The terrible sensation immediately returned. I knew my mother was dead. But part of me didn't want to believe it. I walked up to her body. Her skin was pale and freezing cold. I couldn't tell how she died. There was no signs of anything on her corpse. There was also no pulse. R.I.P.
Wow.
Did you call anyone?
I tried reaching the phone, but when I did, it was dead. I dropped the phone and I tried to leave the bedroom. When I reached the door frame, the lights turned off again. I kept searching my home in the dark. I could hear my heartbeat coming out of my chest and I was completely out of breath. I made it to my sister's room just like my mother. My sister lay there, soulless. However, unlike my mother, I immediately knew what killed her. A large, thick knife was coming out of her spine.
Please tell me this was part of the nightmare.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. I
Oh
ran
my
her
God.
corpse and tried to use whatever knowledge I had on stab wounds to help her, but it was too late. I went to the bathroom to look for something, anything. I knew the first aid kit would be useless, but I didn't know what else to do. I looked up from under the counters. I could see my reflection in the mirror. Next to the reflection of my petrified face were the words, "I told you so," written in blood. I have never let out a louder scream. I dropped the first aid kit and sprinted out of the bathroom. When I made it to the hallway, I tripped on something and fell down the stairs. When I stood up, I climbed back up to see what I had tripped on. It was my father's legs. His body sat there against the wall with a bullet in his forehead. R.I.P.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
absolutely speechless. I
I'm-
really don't know
I'm
what to say.
I'm so sorry. I mean, I don't know what to tell you either. That's horrible. I couldn't imagine.
Well, yes, of course. I would not know what to say either. After seeing all that, I passed out at the bottom of the staircase. The next time I woke up, I was in the hospital surrounded by police officers and social workers. I did my best to explain everything, but I had absolutely no clue as to what was going on. The social workers tried placing me with some of my extended family, but none of them wanted to deal with the trauma I was going through. I was finally placed into an orphanage, about 3 hours from my old house. I had nightmares every single night, and every time I looked into the mirror, I could see the words, "I told you so," glaring into my soul. It was all too much for a little kid to go through.
100%. Yeah, definitely. Did you ever talk to anyone did you ever talk to anyone about what happened or like try to get some answers?
Yes, I had to go to therapy until I could make the decision not to go anymore. I know it's healthy to talk about it, but I always get uncomfortable bringing it up. The news headlined the incident as an armed robbery, but I know it was involved with paranormal
Come on.
activities.
I said it. I keep saying it. They always try hiding the truth. Sometimes it's easier to explain the unexplainable, as Area 51 is told. So yeah.
Yeah, I understand why they did it, but now I just sound crazy bringing it up. I never felt normal again. Even weirder, I never felt alone. I sometimes like to think that this is my parents keeping me company, but sometimes about the feelings make me know that this entitled is dark. I had to keep moving in and out of orphanages because of the screams I would make at midnight. Almost every night.
Wow. I mean, did you at least like ever find closure?
Well, not really. Like, I kind of learned to forget about it, or at least try to. When I graduated high school, I got a scholarship to study at NYU, my dream school. So I packed my bags and left for the city. I thought leaving Florida would put all my trauma and past behind me, but the past seems to follow you wherever you go. The last time I was sure that I dealt with these ghosts was when I went to go do my laundry. The laundry room was in the basement of my dorm hall. The lights made the buzzing noise while I stuffed my clothes into the washing machine. As the machine started going, the lights shut off. The same sensation I had those years ago when I was at my house and then revisiting. Naturally, I started to panic, but the lights finally turned on. I turned around and saw the mirror above the laundry room sink. Above my reflection was the same words written in the same handwriting. I told you so.
Please tell me you changed dorms.
Well, I did. I made an arrangement to have my own place off campus. I removed all the mirrors from it and filled it with nightlights. I never want to be surrounded by darkness ever again.
Yeah, we totally understand that. New York is also a lot of dark history. Have you ever considered speaking to a medium or anyone that might be able to help you tell you what happened that night, such as someone who is a victim themselves?
Well, I've always considered it, and I still do, but I'm just trying to move on from my past life. Every now and then, I get so close to just picking up the phone, scheduling an appointment with one of those hundreds of mediums on the Lower East Side, but I never did. Part of me wants to know what happened, but the other half of me just wants to forget. I mean, I can't even look at my reflection anymore or even ride my own bike because it brings me back memories from that terrible day.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, that makes total sense. Some of our other callers have reacted the same way to their past traumas.
Yeah, if you ever need someone to talk to, we're always here,
Of course.
on air or not. Give us a call, and we'll be there.
Thank you so much. Like, being able to share my story makes me feel like I can finally put it behind me and focus on my future.
Yeah, we are so glad to hear that. I'm sure whenever or wherever your parents are and sister are, they're resting in peace. But yeah, have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you so much for sharing, and if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to contact us, please.
I will. Thank you. Goodbye.
Wow, that was really intense.
Oh my god. I don't know how we managed to stay all those years in the orphanage.
It must have been really hard. I hope one day he finds closure. I can't imagine anything like that ever happening to me.
Yeah, that is
Unbelievable.
Wow.
All right, that's a somber ending to this story, but let's move on to the next one.
You know, why don't you tell them about what you're wearing, since I can't stop looking at your nice fit.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's the first time you ever complimented me.
Yeah, well, don't let it get to you.
Anyway, all right. I'm wearing one of the best shirts out there. The Big Bad Bros shirt and shoes. They come in different colors and sizes to fit your own style. You should definitely get it.
Yeah, I agree, especially since they are good quality and sell for a decent price.
Not only that, but we also have a discount code yet again. Scream666, all caps.
Yeah, if you decide to make or get one, please make sure to text a picture to us or post it on a story, tag us so we can see how amazing you look. Chances are you might get featured on this podcast too. Ale, you idiot, you forgot to tell them where to get it. Genius.
Oh. Yeah, sorry. All right, you guys can get it at our website at bigbadbros.com. Like, repeat, bigbadbros.com. That's our website. We have all our shirts and merchandise. You guys, like I said, we got shirts, we got pants, we got shorts, we got socks,
We got
everything you
hoodies,
need.
crew necks.
Everything you need. BigBadBros.com. Use Scream 666. That is Scream 666. All caps.
As we come to the final story on this week's episode, we found out that some of our fans are actually from Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, that's also such a coincidence since my story matches perfectly with the
Oh, really?
equation.
What is it? Let me guess.
No.
Okay.
Anyways, it's the legend of La Llorona, or as she is known in English-speaking countries, the Weeping Lady.
Wait, no. I swear I've heard that before.
Dude, no way.
It's the woman that torments the people in Mexico, right?
Yeah, that's it. Just like you torment me.
Alright, bro. Whatever. Don't listen to hear. Don't listen to us fight, please. So, tell me about this weeper.
Okay, so La Llorona originates in Mexico, but is known all throughout Latin America, which is why there's so many versions of the story.
Ooh, that's
thank you so
interesting.
much. That's the first time you ever.
The story I was told since
Yeah,
I was a
well,
little
don't let
tiny
it get
child
Anyway,
goes like
alright,
this.
I'm wearing
A woman named
one
Maria, who
of
was
the
known for her
best
beauty all
shirts
around
out
town,
there.
behaved like she was
The
superior
Big
to
Bad Bros
everyone
shirt
else.
and
She
shoes.
dreamed
They
of
come in
marrying a
different colors
very
and sizes
handsome
to fit your
man,
own style.
but the men in
You
the
should
town,
definitely
sorry,
get it.
the men in the
Yeah, I
town
agree.
did not meet her
especially since they are
standards.
super humble, I see.
Yeah,
Not
I
only
know.
that,
Okay,
we also
continue.
have a
One day, a
discount code.
handsome
Yet
young
again,
cowboy arrived
Scream
at Maria's
666,
town.
all
Maria
caps.
fell for him
Yeah,
because
if
of
you
his
decide to
beauty
make
and
or
decided
get
that she
one,
was going to marry
Please
him.
make sure to text
Her
the
family
location to us.
warned her against marrying him because they thought he would not be a good husband. However, Maria insisted on marrying the cowboy.
I can already tell this is going south.
You bet. That's why you should always listen to your parents.
Yeah, your parents are actually listening to this, so continue telling the story.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Such a good kid.
Alright, back to the story. Maria decided to marry the not parent approved cowboy. The couple had 2 kids together and they seemed to be a happy family until they were not.
Oh,
The cowboy went back to his old lifestyle. He went away from home for months at a time, started drinking excessively at bars all day.
like the guy, what's his name? Jack from The Shining.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm always interrupting.
Alright, it's okay, I'm used to it by now, and I'm sure our listeners are too. Now, don't interrupt me again, alright?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. He also started putting Maria aside. So basically, the cowboy ended up meeting the family's expectations and was a terrible husband. The few times he would come back home, he would tell Maria that he was only there for the children and not her. This made feelings of anger and jealousy rise within Maria until one day, she finally snapped.
You
Full
have to do
of
that.
anger and jealousy, Maria took both of her children to a river and drowned them.
Dude, no way. That's insane. Someone please put this girl in an asylum.
Right? I mean, no matter how jealous and angry, I would never imagine a mother capable of doing that to her own children.
That just makes me kind of mad. I know it's just a legend, but like thinking about this is such a terrible
I
thing.
mean-
It gives me goosebumps.
I mean,
bro.
I feel the same thing. All right. Anyways, as Maria watched the corpses float away, she realized what she had done and was filled with guilt and anger at herself. She ran behind the bodies that were being dragged away by the river, screaming, "Ay, mis hijos! ¿Dónde están mis hijos?" Which means, my children! Where are my children?
For the non-Spanish speakers, of course.
And in her frenzy, she tripped on a root, hit her head on a rock, and died.
Oh.
Ever since that night, people have heard her cries as she desperately tries searching for her children.
Verga. That was intense. I was not expecting that.
What were you expecting?
Something less intense and more scary, I guess.
Well, I mean, tell me what you thought about it.
To be honest, when you said that Maria behaved like she was superior to everyone else, I just knew she was terrible news.
I mean, when I first read the story, I thought like the same thing. It seemed to me like her gigantic ego was like definitely going to make her do something terrible that
Sounds
would
like
affect
someone I
many
know.
people. Well, okay, but I mean, I'm just gonna say, like, especially since she is someone who only thought about herself and what she wanted, like from what I'm reading, rather than acknowledging the people around her.
Yeah, it's very interesting how different this legend can be compared to the other ones, like the Bloody Mary, how we always used to do that in the bathroom, flickering the lights. It's a terrifying legend that is meaning to scare people. especially children. However, this one is more like a lesson.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, I actually thought that this legend was written to teach children. I thought this legend was written to teach children lessons, like rather than scare them. I mean, one of the lessons I think was meant to be interpreted from the story is for children to listen to their parents. I mean, if Maria had listened to her parents and not married the cowboy, she would probably have not killed her children. Which is why I would think that if you told a young child this story, they would probably think listening to my parents is the right thing to do. Like, do you always see this as a lesson of the story?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you also see this?
Do I? Personally, I totally agree, because I also think that the story was created for that reason, as well as to protect and scare the children, you know, not to wander around at night, not to go to a river alone, you know, stranger danger. Since I'm also, like, assuming that, I actually don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Llorona mostly wanders around the river, if I'm not mistaken.
At least according to the story, you are right. Yep.
Yeah, I know, I'm always right. Anyways, what themes do you think are part of the story, like the messages?
I mean, you wish. I think one of the things found in this story is definitely jealousy.
Ironic.
Like, the story, I mean, it does a really good job at demonstrating the causes and effects of jealousy on a person. Even though it takes the effects to an extreme, it demonstrates how jealousy plagues people and can cause them to do horrible things that they will regret later.
Yeah, totally, dude. Grief and suffering are definitely most of the other themes, though. In this version of the legend, where Maria finally gets a kind of motherly sort of feeling, which is grief, is when she runs to save her dead children, which is ironic again, since she killed them for her own desires. So,
I mean, she definitely ended up losing everything while trying to gain her husband's affection, like, which at the time was the thing she thought was most desired, and it also contributes, you know, to her suffering in this story. Okay, but guess what?
What?
I have a question for you.
No.
Okay, I do not care.
Oh.
I'm asking you anyway. What would you do if you heard this in the middle of the night?
Oh! That was so scary, but weirdly soothing. If I heard that and saw La Llorona, sorry Maria, I would use my athlete-ass legs to run. And if I was with you, I would probably push her and run for my life.
Okay, she would definitely get you first since I'm faster than you. Though, I mean, I disagree. I did not find it soothing. That is just scary. If I heard that, like, I would probably die, especially after reading the story. You know, I do not want her drowning.
Yeah, you're not faster than me. So, this wraps up the legend of La Llorona. Hopefully you did not cry.
For the most part, I thought this legend was very interesting, and I'm glad to get to explore this on today's episode with you guys. I hope you found that entertaining, and we're about just to wrap it up. All right, let's wrap it up. Now let's do some call-outs of our favorite and most loyal fans.
Shout out time. What do we have for today, Binel?
All right, so first, a kind message to Lola from her friend Lupe. Happy early birthday! Another one to our 3-year-old follower, Sophia.
Thanks for always tuning in, Sophia. You're a real one.
Also to Max and his twin sister, who seems to not like Scary Story, but likes only ours. Let's give an applause to Sarah. Your mom sends a message. Good job in graduating college. You are amazing. All right. And another school graduate, this time high school. Don't be nervous, Mike. You'll do a great job in college.
Oh, you will.
And that's it for today's shout-outs. Thank you, all of you. All of you.
We really do have to thank them. You guys are great. And so is Binello. Psych, he's not. I literally have no idea how you keep up with all these shout-outs.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah, so that's all for today's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more scary stories and give us a call to share one of yours.
See you next week.
Peace out.